Love is an interesting thing. People say all the time they believe in love at first sight, or that they fell in love instantly. For me, I know exactly how long it took. It took me exactly 120.62 seconds to fall in love with horse racing. On November 7th, 2009, I was sitting in my living room watching the Breeders' Cup Championship, much like I have done for years. As a child, my father took me to Longacres Racetrack in Auburn, Washington, and I've had wonderful memories. I consider myself a casual fan that paid attention a few times a year during the big races. The Breeders' Cup is a 2-day event that hosts 14 championship races over Friday afternoon and Saturday evening. Horse racing crowns champions in 14 different divisions over 2 days. The final race of the weekend is the Breeders' Cup Classic, a 1.25 mile race open to any horse without any restrictions, and offers a year-high $5 million purse. This is the biggest race of the year and draws 12 of the best horses in the whole world. 2009 was no different. In the months leading up to the Breeders' Cup, the conversation was about a female horse named Zenyatta. It is rare in horse racing that a female horse would choose to compete in the Breeders' Cup Classic against the boys, but Zenyatta was different. By the time the Classic came in 2009, Zenyatta had raced a total of 13 times, winning every single race she had ever ran. Against the girls, against the boys, it just didn't matter. But it wasn't just that she won. It was how she won, each and every race. She was different. Zenyatta was in horse racing terms a stalker or a closer. She didn't come out of the gate fast. In fact, she come out of the gate as if there was no race going on at all. She'd spend 90% of the race not only behind, but often in dead last, and came from behind to win all 13 times in a row. Knowing this, I sat down on Saturday evening, watching the television, and waiting to see if she could make it 14 in a row. The race started, and just like before, Zenyatta didn't seem to get the memo the race had even started. In fact, one of the first things that I remember hearing the track announcer say was, "Zenyatta is in dead last. Zenyatta is dead last early." The race seemed to go on just as normal, with the horses falling in line across the backstretch. Halfway through the race, Zenyatta was still 10, 11, 12 lengths away from the leader. Then, as the leaders made their final turn and headed down the final stretch, the track announcer again addresses Zenyatta, this time with the words, "Zenyatta has a lot of ground to make up. If she wins this, she would be a super horse." Almost on cue, as if she had heard the announcer, Zenyatta disappeared into the crowd of horses, all trying to find their final lane to run down. And then it happens. I didn't see it at first. You just hear the whole grandstand erupt on the TV. Somehow, jockey Mike Smith had weaved Zenyatta through 9 other horses and found his way to the outside, closest to the fans, into the grandstand. At that moment, I think everyone at Santa Anita and at home became a fan of Zenyatta. Even the people who had money on Gio Ponte, the last horse Zenyatta would have to catch, seemed to be cheering for this amazing run. Out of nowhere, Zenyatta catches Gio Ponte and blows by him in the final furlong, and doesn't only win the race, but wins by more than a length, collecting a cool $5 million purse and adding to her legacy. Zenyatta would go on to 2010 and race 5 more times, winning all 5, setting her up to attempt to repeat in the Breeders' Cup Classic the following year. In the final race of her career, Zenyatta returned to the Breeders' Cup to attempt to win her 20th straight race. Unfortunately, Zenyatta would come just a head short, losing to a horse named Blame at the wire, but finished an amazing career at 19 wins in 20 races. But that day, in November of 2009, was the day that I instantly, make that 2 minutes and 62 hundredths of a second, fell in love with horse racing.